welcome to today's Global Connections program. I'm Bill Miller. Today, we're going to be talking to a young lady from Afghanistan about a remarkable adventure she's had. My guest today is Somaya Faruqi. Somaya Faruqi is the former captain of the Afghan Girls Robotic Team, nicknamed the Afghan Dreamers. Faruqi made international headlines when she and her team built a ventilator from used car parts in response to the COVID-19 pandemic in Afghanistan. She was born in Herat, Afghanistan in 2002. She cultivated her love of engineering in her father's mechanic shop. Her high school career in leadership with the Afghan Dreamers was cut short by the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan. She and the rest of her teammates had to flee the country in August of 2021. Currently an engineering student, Faruqi has achieved several awards over her young career, including being named to the Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia in 2021, BBC's 100 Women in 2020, and the 2017 silver medal for courageous achievement at the first Global Challenge in recognition of science and technology in the United States. Somaya Faruqi, welcome to today's Global Connections program.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
My pleasure. You've got such an extensive resume. We could have spent the whole program just reading your resume. You're very, very impressive. Well, let's get right into it. Very briefly, why did you leave Afghanistan? I think obviously the Taliban played a role in this, but why did you leave Afghanistan?
So in 2021, when Taliban took over the country, Afghanistan was not safe anymore for me and other girls like me who were active in the society, who had the right to go to school and to be educated, who were free and who were participating in international competitions without any of their male family members. And also when Taliban took over, after that, my future was uncertain. I was not sure if Taliban in that time are going to let me to go to school and continue my education or not. Then me and my teammates, we had to leave the country because we didn't have any choice and our future was uncertain.
Mm-hmm. Well, you certainly had a heroic experience there, no doubt. Now, the United Nations has been involved in providing assistance to the Afghan people for decades, really. But one UN agency, the Education Cannot Wait agency, what role did they play in working with you? I don't know, to help you get out or to help you get into your current situation in California, the university, or what the situation is?
So ECW, or Education Cannot Wait, is United Nations Global Fund for Education in Emergencies, and I'm their global champion, and it's my pleasure to be their global champion. They raise funds for crisis-affected countries to support mental health, to support education, and to support children who do not have access to education, to provide them safe and quality education. And they have been in Afghanistan, and they are in Afghanistan as well, and they work at least to have community-based centers and classrooms for girls and boys who do not have access to education.
Mm-hmm. Now, Education Cannot Wait has a lengthy website, so we'll post that so our viewers can see it. Well, you're with the Afghan Girls Robotics Team. What exactly is this team?
So in 2017, a female engineer in Afghanistan decided to create a robotics team in Afghanistan. It was interesting because it was the first ever robotics team in Afghanistan. And the more interesting thing was that all members of these teams were girls, which was really surprising in that time in Afghanistan because science and technology was completely new in Afghanistan, especially for girls. And in that time, we participated in many different global challenges. We won a lot of awards. We built robots that helped our society, like the ventilator that we built, a mine detector that was asked by the ex-governor of our city to help in the security section, a witch robot that helped the gardeners, a UVC robot that we built also during the pandemic. And when people saw that these devices are really work, then this idea changed our team to a global robotics team from Afghanistan.
Mhm. Now, the Education Cannot Wait committee has a variety of programs. That's does the whole panoply of UN agencies. What assistance are they providing? Are they providing community-based education in Afghanistan today, or are they working in some other capacity to help young women in that country?
They are still in Afghanistan and they support the education in Afghanistan, not only in Afghanistan, in all crisis-affected countries like Sudan, Ethiopia, even in Gaza, that right now the situation is not good. They trying to help and support the children in mental health and also in education.
Mhm. Now, where are you studying in California, and what do you want to do once you complete your degree?
So right now I'm a junior and I'm studying mechanical engineering in California State University, Sacramento. Um, so when I finish my degree, I want to, if the situation gets better, for sure, I want to go back to my country, Afghanistan, and share my knowledge and serve the generation of Afghanistan who did not have the chance to go to school in the past couple of years, and still they do not have that right. And I will continue to be a stronger women rights activist, to be the voice of girls who are still in Afghanistan and they do not have the chance and even the permission to raise their voices.
Mhm. Are you still in touch with your family and friends in Afghanistan?
For sure, I am. I have many friends back in Afghanistan that they they were with me in the same classroom. We were sitting next to each other in the same classroom. But right now, I'm here studying in American university, but they are in Afghanistan and they forced to marry, which is really heartbreaking.
Yes, it certainly is. As the Taliban, we know that they've certainly taken much stricter measures against women and girls, especially in the area of education, cultural values, and things like that. How how would you describe it today in Afghanistan with the Taliban?
The worst thing that you can imagine that people can live right now is in Afghanistan about the education and being a woman. They are in the home. They cannot go out without a male guardian like their father, their brother, or their husband. They cannot go to parks. They cannot go to gyms. They cannot go to restaurants. Even they do not have access to their basic human rights. It's 2024 and we are still fighting for the right of the education. There is no school. There is no university. There is no courses for them. Um, so I should say that half of the community is women and girls. If they are not allowed to go to school, if they are not educated, so how we can have an improved Afghanistan? It's impossible.
It certainly is, and it's a very draconian situation that occurred in that really lovely country. Well, we'll be back in just a moment to talk about more of your adventures. Well, you're watching Global Connections Television, which is a privately funded, independently produced program. The opinions expressed on Global Connections are solely those of the moderator and his guest. We'd invite our viewers to go to our website at www.globalconnectionstelevision.com to view previous programs. Also, if you're involved with the PBS or community access television station, or perhaps you're involved with an educational institution that has an intra-campus television hookup, or you have a podcast, or you just have a computer, you like our shows, and you would like to share them, please feel free to do so. Global Connections Television is provided at no cost as a public service to help us better understand international issues and how they impact our lives. Today, we're talking with Somaya Faruqi, who is the former captain of the Afghan Girls Robotic Team. And she's talking about how life was in Afghanistan and how it is today. Faruqi, Somaya, do you go by Somaya or Faruqi or either one?
So my first name is Somaya. I usually go with Somaya.
Okay, let's do Somaya. That's good. Yes. Well, Somaya, we were talking about Afghanistan and how difficult is it today to get out of Afghanistan? I'm sure there are many people who would like to leave. but what barriers are in place to prevent them from doing that? Or can certain groups get out and certain countries can accept refugees from Afghanistan?
Right now, it's really hard because there is no embassy inside Afghanistan. All the embassies or all the countries are closed in Afghanistan. And the only country that people can go, who are in danger can go, is the neighbor countries, which is Iran and Pakistan. That also these two countries, refugees, they do not have good condition in these countries. And even from the Pakistan, they forced to leave Pakistan and go back to Afghanistan, even people who were in danger. So it shows that right now everything is banned in Afghanistan. Even people who are in danger, they cannot come out of Afghanistan. And there are many people, so we can see that that bringing back people from the country is not a good way. We have to work to make the situation good inside Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm. And how would you like to go back? Or will you actually go back to Afghanistan, or will you work overseas and trying to help the people in Afghanistan, or especially young women, to advance their careers or to get an education? Do you plan to actually go back physically?
I will definitely go back, but when the situation is good, because I know that if I go right now in Afghanistan, I will not be safe in there. Like many other activists that they are right now in Afghanistan and they are in Taliban jails.
Mm-hmm. Well, now you're living in California and you're involved in the university there and you're studying. And what types of activities are you involved in the United States to help people better understand the situation in Afghanistan?
So recently, Education Cannot Wait, and I will actually last year in anniversary of banning the education from Afghan girls, we launched a campaign, hashtag the Afghan Girls Voices campaign. This campaign was 25 quotes from Afghan girls who are right now living in Afghanistan and telling us their situation. We created some postcards from a very good illustrations of another Afghan female, and then we published that through social media. And right now in June 13, we had our second phase of this campaign, Afghan Girls Voices campaign, to support Afghan girls and to raise awareness of what is right now happening inside Afghanistan. And in this phase, we had a lot of other women rights activists, influencers, that they shared their videos, they shared in their social media and support our campaign. And I think this campaign is a very good way to raise the awareness about what is happening right now inside Afghanistan, and to let people know and remind them again that there is a country in the world that even they do not have access to their basic human right, which is education. Other countries may have some barriers to achieve the education, but in Afghanistan, it's legally not allowed to have access to education.
The United Nations has been one of the biggest proponents of education and human rights for women and girls for decades now. And of course, we see the UN's got the Sustainable Development Goals. And I think Sustainable Development Goal number 5 is to promote the freedom for women and girls and education, that type of thing. Are you involved with other UN agencies or with the UN in helping to raise the awareness of what's happening in Afghanistan and to help people better realize what the current conditions are and what people can do to be of assistance to the people in Afghanistan?
So I'm involved with Education Cannot Wait, which is, as I said, the United Nations Global Fund for Emergencies in Education. And we really work hard to make the situation better and at least fund to education system. But I think that everyone knows that what is happening right now in Afghanistan and what is needed to be done inside Afghanistan, which is support financially the education system. But there is not done much because it's like in September it's going to be 3 years, and 3 years being banned from education is a lot of time for a generation, for half of our population. And I hope that next year we celebrate again that girls have to be allowed to go to school, but we cannot afford to waste any more time to keep half of a generation in a prison called home.
Yes. Now, are you in touch with the Dream Team? Did most of the Dream Team get out of Afghanistan with you, or are some of them still back there? And if so, are you in touch with them today?
So in the Afghan Dreamers, our team, recently we were 250 girls, just 20 of us are out of Afghanistan. The one who were more in social media, in newses, or we are in competitions that where Taliban were like completely opposite of what we were doing and we were not safe. So we came out of Afghanistan, but it's still our teammates are in Afghanistan and we are in touch with them. We are trying to have their education through online platforms, but it's hard to learn robotics and engineering online, but it's the only way that we can do that.
That would be quite a challenge. It certainly would, no doubt about it. Yes. Well, you have such an impressive resume and a remarkable adventure and a remarkable story to tell, and you do it so elegantly and eloquently that I would think that there would be a lot of people who would have an interest in this. Do you find that at the university or in your social circles in California, you're at Santa Barbara, is that right? University
I'm in Sacramento.
Where?
Sacramento University.
Sacramento, I'm sorry. But you're in Sacramento. Do you find that a lot of the groups in that area, be it a United Nations Association chapter or Rotary clubs or Kiwanis clubs or different ones like that, would like to get you as a speaker to explain to them what the situation is in Afghanistan and how you have been able to basically liberate yourself to a large degree?
Actually, in university, there was a big event, and they invited me and one of my teammates who is in my university. We are going in the same university, and we had a speech in there and talking about the situation of Afghanistan. And we can see a big difference before our speech and after our speech, because most of the people in our university, they even didn't know that Afghan girls, they do not have access to education. And after that, they were trying to have some campaigns in the university to support the girls, or some fundraising campaigns to raise money for education system in Afghanistan, which was quite impressive.
Well, other than the Taliban, we take the Taliban for granted. That's one of the major impediments to what is happening in Afghanistan and for the people of that area. But what do you see as some of the major challenges or obstacles as you try to work to move forward with your professional career, but also to help people better understand what is going on in that country? Are there certain obstacles or challenges that you run into?
Yes, the first one is about child marriages, because we cannot directly put influence on the decision of the fathers and the brothers or elders of the home. So we want them to support their daughters, to support their sisters, to see what they want. The males should not force the females in the home to force to marry without their choice that if they want to marry or no. And the other thing is, I'm here in the United States. The situation is back in Afghanistan. It's a bit hard to work with my colleagues who are in Afghanistan, with my teammates. But we are doing our best to see what we can do. And another challenge is about the refugees who are out of Afghanistan. So even here in the United States, some of our neighbors who are Afghans and who fled from Afghanistan, even they do not have access to education. I always say that when we see that our neighbor, it doesn't matter the nationality, if they do not have access to education, we as the neighbor is our responsibility to go and at least one time say, what is the problem? Don't you know how to enroll your child in a school or university? If you don't, at least I can give this simple instruction to them, and maybe this simple instruction can change their entire life.
Well, it's just remarkable what you've accomplished up to this point. Just absolutely incredible. And I'm so glad that you're here and you're sharing your story with the people in your area, and also working with the United Nations Education Cannot Wait program. They do fantastic work, not only in Afghanistan, but in many other areas of the world. What do you recommend to our viewers as to how we can get involved and to learn more about this situation in Afghanistan, and for girls really in many, many countries around the world, not just Afghanistan? It's the situation is dire in Afghanistan, but it's very bad in some other areas. But what suggestions would you have for us who are watching this show, or for our viewers around the world? How can they get involved and learn more about this?
I want that all the viewers do not accept what's right now happening in the world. So we do not accept that from every politics situation or war situations, children should not be a target. Universities should not be a target. Schools should not be a target. Civilians should not be a target. Women and girls should not be a target. I know that there is war, there is conflict, but we are human and we should put humanity first before all our decisions. We have to make sure that our children are safe, our children have equal access to education, to safe and quality education, and they have access to mental health resources. If we as people do not accept these things, then our politicians, they have to do what we want, what we civilians want, because we choose them to be our leaders. So if we as people do not accept what is happening right now in the world, then there will be a change in the world.
Mm-hmm. You are, as I've mentioned, have just had a unique experience. One other person who comes to mind, who's from Pakistan, I guess it was Malala, and she has been a phenomenal celebrity at the United Nations and has worked with various UN programs, has spoken in many areas of the world. First off, have you ever met Malala? Secondly, would you like to team up with her to promote your story and hers, to excite people and to inform them about the situation with women and girls?
I actually meet with Malala 2 to 3 times, and even in United Nations, their team invited me to have a speech in there after Malala, and it was like my honor to do that. And they actually shared my story, and they actually help Afghanistan as well, and other Afghan women and Afghan activists to raise their voices.
Well, I'm not a predictor, or my predictions so often don't come true, but I am going to predict this, and I think you and Malala would really be a dynamic 1-2 duo to talk about the situation with women and girls, and not only in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and many other areas, but to work with the United Nations agencies, to work with many of the non-governmental organizations who are out there trying to promote human rights, peace, economic development, social development, and to really help us all better understand what is going on there. But let me ask you, in our last 30 seconds, do you have one parting suggestion for our viewers around the world?
I want them to support our second phase of the campaign, which is hashtag Afghan Girls Voices. Your one retweet or share or story of this campaign can make a change in the life of the people, in the life of the girls who are right now inside Afghanistan, and they do not have access to education.
Well, Somaya Faruqi, you're doing a phenomenal job. You've just done a phenomenal job, and you will in the future, I'm sure. And planet Earth will benefit from you being on it and applying your talents and skills. So, but I want to thank you so very much for a very interesting and very informative program.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I am Bill Miller. Thank you for joining me today on Global Connections Television.